Welcome everybody to another edition of Beyond the Shoot. We're going back to school with the Raw after Wrestlemania. To open up the Raw of the year, the Raw after Wrestlemania, is none other than Stephanie McMahon. I give this segment an A. It was perfectly told. She gave Ronda Rousey her standing ovation, and Stephanie McMahon did what she does best. She played to the crowd, she played to herself. She said she was the best person in that match. And Rousey coming out and doing the armbar on her, that was perfect. I'm excited to see what goes on after this. If Stephanie McMahon hires a female hand to take out Rousey, I'm excited. Next up, we have the first call-up from NXT. So before I start, I give this a B+. So it's supposed to be a tag team match of Nia Jax and a mystery partner versus Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. They come out, they pander to each other, they pander to the crowd, and Alexa Bliss calls out Nia Jax, says, you have nobody who wants to be your partner, you're a bully, so on and so forth. She says, hold on. I got a partner. Who comes out? None other than Ember Moon. Her loss at NXT TakeOver is what we all expected would happen because she was going to get called up. She makes this division even better. I'm excited to see this. I'm excited for her to be there and for Alexa Bliss to take the pin. I'm curious to see if there's going to be a feud going on there and if that affects Nia Jax's championship reign at all. Next up, we have Adam Rose. No Way Jose, the second caller from NXT. This was eerily similar to Adam Rose. It's the rosebuds, the bunnies, people dancing, people jumping around. I hope this works. It worked at NXT for him, and with a larger crowd, with kids watching, I'm excited to see what he can bring. A Dominican, a Latin person coming up again, that's awesome. The squash match itself was a B+. He did one move, but that one move was great. It was tough, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. So next up, we have the tag team match, the Revival versus the Balor Club. Now this came into fruition because earlier in the night was the most odd thing that ever happened at WrestleMania, which we're all curious about. Nicholas and Braun Strowman as a tag team partners. We were all wondering what was gonna happen, how it was gonna work out. And it worked out like we all predicted. Nicholas has a busy schedule, but he'll be back in 10 years. They relinquished the tag team titles to Kurt Angle, and they basically just said, Nicholas has stuff to do. Braun Strowman's gonna continue being the monster. This was a fun little nice segment. So what does Kurt Angle say? Well, the titles are vacant. The Bar comes out, they ask for the titles back. He's like, nope, you guys have to earn it back. So what does he do? He calls it a tag team eliminator. Yes, tag team eliminator. Now we're fast forward back to the Revival versus the Balor Club. I feel like these two have the potential to be great tag teams. They were great tag teams, but it feels like their time is getting cut short. Their match picks up and then it finishes. The Revival winning is nice to see. I hope they kind of get back into their groove and they don't stop being jobbers. This entire tag team needs to be elevated, and I really hope that it picks up after this. So overall, I give this a B. It was great, it was fun, and they're finally getting back in the limelight. Next up, we have the man of the year, the man of the night, the match of the night. So Seth Rollins comes out. Overall, that was an A. That was an A. The burn it down, the crowd reacting with that was an A. So he goes on, he thanks the crowd thanks him. Who comes out? Finn Balor. He tells Rollins, I want you next. I want that title next. Let's make it happen. They agree. So of course we all know out comes The Miz. He has to invoke his rematch. It's there. He says, I choose it when I want it at Backlash. But if you two want to fight us, handicap 2-on-3. Balor and Rollins ain't gonna back down, so they get ready for it. All of a sudden, whose music hits? Jeff Hardy. It's just like WrestleMania from last year when the Hardy Boy hit, everybody got excited. Same exact thing, everybody got excited. What does The Miz do and the Miztourage do? They run out of the ring and they're like, we'll save it for later, which sets up the main event for Raw. Next up, we have Sasha Banks versus Mandy Rose Absolution. I give this a B. It had potential. Mandy Rose has so much potential. Her V-trigger, her moves, they're hard hitting. She doesn't look like it, but it's hard hitting. Of course, Bayley comes out, you know what's gonna happen, she's gonna interfere, and that's exactly what happens. She tries to clothesline Mandy Rose and she ends up getting Sasha Banks, causing her to lose a match, and we all predicted that. I don't know who's heel, I don't know who's face, I don't know who's turning on who. It's pretty cool to see that because you don't know who is what. I guess that leaves that intriguing factor in that match. But that wasn't the point of this. The point of this was the ending. Paige. She had to retire. We found out a couple months ago she sustained a neck injury, which required her to have surgery for the fourth, fifth time in 2-3 years. She's no longer going to be wrestling for WWE, and she gave a heartfelt goodbye, and she did it in Paige fashion. I can't give that a grade, but it sucks seeing her leave. She was my favorite women wrestler. I was excited when she came out 4 years ago when she won the title. It sucks that she's done so young, but maybe she could come back as a manager. Maybe she can be an actress. Whatever after this, good luck, Paige. Even with him coming out at WrestleMania, acting like he was the Undertaker, trying to get him heat, he is still the most over wrestler on Raw. He comes out, of course we're talking about Elias, we all know that. He comes out playing the guitar, the crowd is chanting for him, walking with Elias. They're screaming for Elias. He's trying so hard to be a heel and they're playing along. He called that city a dump, he called them a dump, and they chant, "We deserve it." That was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. So he does his thing and he says he's a hard wrestler and nobody deserves him and he should have been in WrestleMania. Who comes out? Bobby freaking Lashley. I predicted he was going to come out a long time ago when his TNA contract was up, but I didn't think against Elias. See, I give this a split grade. I give this a B+ for the fact that Bobby Lashley is back in the WWE, but I give it a C- at the expense of Elias. You can't turn Elias into a jobber. He should have come out against somebody completely different. I don't know, it didn't fit with that particular person. I'm excited to see Bobby Lashley, don't get me wrong. I'm super excited to see hopefully a rematch versus Brock Lesnar, but I need to see Elias doing something bigger. Next up, we have our third NXT call-up. We had Ember Moon, we had No Way Jose. Who's next? None other than AOP, Authors of Freaking Pain. That's exciting. I was excited. I called it an NXT. I called it a takeover. I'm like, they're gonna lose because they have to go to the main roster. The Raw Tag Team division needed to be elevated, and it did that with just their arrival. It was awesome to see. It was funny to see Heath Slater do I Got Kids. Rhino was egging them on. Of course, they're jobbers. They know that. They're getting a paycheck. They're glad to put people over. They did their time. Rhino, ECW. So Authors of Pain comes down. They do their squash match. That was cool to see. That was fun. But the most intriguing part was the end. The guy that took them to where they are now, their manager, they told him, no, we don't need you. This sets up perfect storyline. It elevates their heel status to a whole nother level. They got this cocky heelness where we don't need you no more. We made it. Who's gonna take them down? We'll see next week. Let's rewind to WrestleMania a little bit. The worst match of the night, in my opinion, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It was hard hitting, it was just boring, it was horrible. So I wasn't really excited to see Roman Reigns come out. I wasn't really excited to see where this storyline was gonna go on Raw. So, but, when Roman Reigns came out, I couldn't help but feel bad. Did you see his forehead? Did you see the stitches? That was legit. It was like this. He looked funny from the side. I legitimately felt bad. So he did his talking. I kind of compared it to the Tommaso Ciampa from NXT, where he couldn't even get the mic to his mouth without the crowd just overtaking with boos. It was the exact same thing. But Roman had to talk, and it made it worse. He tried to make the crowd feel bad for him, and Roman just cut it out. Cut it out. Vince, he needs to be heel. This is getting ridiculous. This is horrible. So if they want to put Roman over so bad, why did they do what happened next? Who comes out? Samoa Joe, another returning superstar. The crowd loves Samoa Joe. The crowd hates Roman Reigns. What is WWE really doing with Roman Reigns? Are they burying him or are they trying to pick him up? That's the question that I have. But back to the segment, I give this an A+. Samoa Joe is a beast on the mic. And him being back, I'm excited. I was excited to see Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe at Great Balls of Fury. That was an awesome match. I want to see that rematch. I want to see the toughness that Samoa Joe has. He just takes Raw to a whole nother level. I'm excited to see what happens. Next up, we have the second match for the Tag Team Eliminator. We have Titus Worldwide versus Woken Matt Hardy and Woken Bray Wyatt. I called this tag team months ago. I said these two need to be a tag team. The craziness of the Wyatt, the craziness of Matt Hardy, they're gonna click perfectly. We saw glimpses of them kind of teasing it and them competing against each other without being on a pay-per-view, teased it even more. So when it happened, I called it. I was excited. It's fun. It's funny. It's entertaining. And of course, you know, they get the win. Overall, the match got a B+. I'm not really giving the match itself a B+. I'm giving the fact of how they click and their characters click so well, that gets the B+. So next week we have the Revival versus, I guess, the Woken family next week on Raw to determine who's gonna face the Bar at the Greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. So earlier in the night, they go to Kurt Angle backstage. Who comes in? None other than Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We all knew this. They're gonna get fired from SmackDown. They're gonna go to Raw. They're gonna compete on Raw. They're gonna do this and that or whatever. So they showed up, right? We all think, cool, Kurt Angle's gonna accept them in. He tells them, my tag team division's full. There's only one roster spot. You guys need to fight each other for it. Of course, the funny heel that they are, that, oh, I got a family. Oh, well, so do I. Well, then fine, let's fight for it. So that sets up the match. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. The winner gets a Raw contract. That match gets an A. These two are incapable of having a bad match against each other. They can just stand in the ring and talk, and that will get an A. Two of the best wrestlers on Raw or SmackDown, I don't even know what they're on, but the two of the best wrestlers, in my opinion. I love the rivalry. I love when they work together. I was excited to see it. When they announced it, I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I'm gonna watch this. They lived up to it. It was great. Of course, we knew at the end it was gonna be either disqualification, it was gonna be a swerve, whatever was gonna happen, and it did. They got counted out 10. They didn't get up on time, so neither one gets a Raw contract. And then the camera just kind of went away. That left me kind of confused because what's gonna happen? Are they gonna be on Raw? Are they gonna be on SmackDown? But like Kurt Angle said earlier in the night, they can go to TNA. That was hilarious. That was funny. That was funny as hell. Back to it. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna be involved in the Superstar Shakeup? Two of the best wrestlers are in neither show. So the camera goes backstage. Jeff Hardy's walking down, warming up. You see Balor and Rollins walking with him. They're walking to the ring. And Jeff Hardy stops, he looks, and who's there? It's Matt Hardy. This was phenomenal. I'm gonna give this alone a grade. This was an A++. They start talking to each other like Woken Matt Hardy and Brother freaking Nero. Brother Nero made an appearance. So Matt Hardy introduces the new one in the family, Bray Wyatt. They look at each other, they stare each other down. He welcomes them to the family. This was hilarious. They come back to Balor and Rollins, they're just looking at him like, what the heck is this? It was funny as hell. I loved it. I hope they continue with this Brother Nero character. I hope he gets involved and they become the faction that needs to happen. Now back to the match itself. This gets a B+. These guys are, like I said earlier with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, these guys are incapable of having a bad match. Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Jeff Hardy versus the Miztourage, which we have to give it to The Miz. He's been putting up great matches in recent weeks, so let's give it to him. The Miz. This was great. I loved it. It was fun to see. It was back and forth. It was a crowd pleaser because of the ending. You know, obviously Seth Rollins gets the pin. He wins. You know, Team Hardy, Team Rollins, Team Balor, they win. But at the end of the match, each of them got their finisher on every single Miztourage member. It was funny, it was cool. 3 curb stomps, 3 coup de grace, and 3 swanton bombs. This was awesome. Good way to end Raw. Perfect show. Overall, I give this show A B plus, close to an A minus. It was perfect. It's been a long time since we've given Raw such a great grade. But for it to be called the best Raw of the year, the Raw after WrestleMania, it had to live up to that hype. We got NXT call-ups. We got returning superstars. We got Bobby Lashley. This was fun. I'm excited for Raw. I'm actually excited for Raw. When's the last time we all said we're excited for Raw? Let's wait what happens next week with Raw with the superstar shakeup. I really hope it doesn't affect the groove that it has right now, but I guess we'll see what happens. But once again, guys, those are my grades. You can click on the eye up here, give me your grades. Give all the matches A's. I don't recommend you give it a C because it doesn't deserve it, but you can do it if you want to troll. That's up to you. But once you do that, don't forget, comment, like, subscribe down below. Comment what you think about WrestleMania. Comment what you think about NXT, about this whole week overall. Tell me if you're ready for SmackDown. Follow me on Twitter. Don't forget, MyKey2BTS. I will see you guys tomorrow on SmackDown.